Cloud Blue 17 says, "Hi, Kaelin. How do you advice on how to learn piano? What will it take to be good? I want to play gospel neo soul. If I devote practice and commitment every day, yeah, you can. I think two things. You should definitely learn the basics of the piano. Matter of fact, before I even go down that route, I'm curious to know, how much do you currently know? How much do you currently know? Because I'll explain to you, I don't know everything about piano, but I know enough to be able to get the results I need to do that. How would I go about doing that? And if they play any other instruments, how would I go about doing that? There has to come a time where, and actually, I think I talked about this before. I only know C major and G major scale and a few 7th and 9th chords. All right, Cloud Blue. Let me put you on game. So at your current space of knowledge that you know, what will it take to be good? There's much more to obsess about. And I'm going to just explain it like this. I was once someone that did not know anything about neo soul. I knew a lot about gospel, not by chords, but I knew by like feeling and presence. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything about technical. Still to this day, I can't really explain technicalities of theory. I know how to play some chords, but I'm not that versed in explaining how to play the chords. And 9 times out of 10, I realized you can also show people the same chords, but it requires a little bit more than just playing note for note what creates the sounds that you're looking for. And so when it comes to neo soul and gospel, I'm going to use this as an example. Growing up, my grandmother's a pastor, and she would also be the leader of the worship choir that we had. And so our worship choir consisted of my cousins, my aunts, my dad on keys, playing both keyboards, me on drums, and all that. And so I'm going to equate this to a space that I didn't realize what we were doing, but this is going to make a lot of sense. So I remember we would have rehearsal. We didn't know what the songs would be, but we just knew, like, my dad would say, come prepared to play whatever that my grandmother throws at us. So there was a CD. Picture this. There was a CD box, an old school boom box that was sitting on a speaker that amplified the sounds of my dad's keyboard and a second board on the top to the entire room. And right next to that big old speaker was a Behringer speaker, by the way. That speaker was a hallway, and on the wall was my drum kit. So you can picture my drum kit is sitting sideways, facing like the pews and like all like the main space where the preacher's usually at and the choir is usually at. And my dad is also facing the choir, and we're like looking towards the choir. So that's where we're faced. The CD box is right there. So my grandmother would take a CD, whatever songs we were going to sing, put the CD in the box, and we listened to like the verse, the hook, and the bridge of the song and find like the consistency of it, right? And so my dad oftentimes had to take the knowledge that he knew and challenge himself to expand what he currently knew to be able to play a song he never played before. So taking the knowledge that he had and expanding on it. Now, mind you, I had never played it before. We had never played majority of the songs that we went to rehearsal for. There was a point where we were playing literally every one of these new records. And I'm like, dog, like, this is just a new song. We're probably going to have to remember how to play it. So I realized my grandmother wasn't having us just play the songs. We would play the record top to bottom, but then she would have us repeat the verse, repeat the chorus, repeat the bridge, go back to the verse, drums drop out, chords only, choir. And my grandmother would do this for hours. And I mean, it would be for hours. And so we were sitting there playing and it got to a point where we would get tired learning these new songs and then have to play all the songs back at the end of rehearsal. So no clicks, no guides, no tracks, none of that. We just playing and we got to remember all the different parts. Now, here is where the things get interesting. She wasn't having us play the songs so we could remember them. She was having us play these songs to the point where they also became a part of our inner being. So that means I could go back home and remember all the hits that my dad did. I can remember all the elements of when we decided to remember this verse and do it again twice and then go back to the bridge. And then like I realized that power of repetition created a thing that I like to call muscle memory. If you play a song long enough, you'll probably be able to do it off of memory. Maybe not exactly to a T, but we would sit there for hours. I think we would get there at like 6 or 7 p.m. after my dad would get off of work. And then we wouldn't leave. I wouldn't get back home until like 11. I wouldn't get back home until like 10 or 11. We would spend 3 hours rehearsing the verse, the chorus, and the bridges of like 3 songs. For 3 hours. Yep. It's the commitment. And here's the thing. If you want to excel beyond that, pick the part that you like about what you're learning and obsess over it. And I'll tell you guys something really, really fascinating about this obsession. The obsession about me playing drums and like my energy of what I learned about playing drums was not about playing the funkiest pattern. It was not about playing the fanciest chords. It was not about playing all these things that make someone want to go, oh, like, whoo. It wasn't about that. It was about sitting in a space to lay over an area until there was an energy there. And that's the best way I could put it and not get too spiritual. But we would sit on a part long enough. And it was more than just playing the fanciest stuff. It was like we created an atmosphere with that sound. It was literally obsessing with that. And that's what I think it did for me, because I don't know music off of like ability. I know music because of the atmosphere and the energy I want to tap into. So whenever I do my shows, whenever I do gigs, whenever I do the Twitch stream, there's an atmosphere that's being set and you kind of operate in that atmosphere. Does that make sense? So Cloud Blue, what I would highly recommend by ear, yeah. Like if your ear remembers a melody and then shoot, go for it. That's a plus. But it's really that atmosphere, the space, the air, the presence that you're sitting in that allows you to remember things. Cause it's like almost like I associate really big chords with feelings. And so it's almost like, it's like a feeling that makes you want to squinch a little bit, you know? Find things that make music interesting for you, not just the piano. Something that makes your head bob to on any given occasion. And what's crazy is me giving y'all this game. I want you to take notice of this everywhere, because the littlest things you would not think are connected, they are so connected. so connected. Everything is. And like, even when it's not, the obsession in your mind could potentially find the connections where connections aren't connecting. So I highly advise, find an area, something small you like, and obsess over it. I digress.